Howdy folks, here's a video part 2 from today at the Alligator Creek Preserve. So right now, still along the Three Lakes Trail, but right now we're actually in a great example of a coastal hammock. So this is what happens once land has a chance to really be left alone and to develop over time. You figure where we're standing right now, this is all once a sand dune right by the ocean. I mean, technically what we're standing on was once under the ocean. That's the thing about Florida that many people forget, is practically the whole state was once underwater. That's why, especially in this state, the water table is not really that far below the surface. Usually it might only be, for all I know, anywhere between 10 and 50 feet. That's it. And that's just because this whole state was once inundated with water. But a coastal hammock is often characterized by the domination of palms and live oaks. Now, at this specific spot where we are, we're practically surrounded by cabbage palm. But then, if you look closely, you see that tree spreading out quite a bit? That is a live oak. And actually, in my video yesterday, I was talking a little bit about a live oak, but it was more focused on the sand live oak. But unlike with the live oak counterpart, this tree grows a lot taller in height. You know, usually it could range anywhere between 40 to 80 feet high. And live oak is oftentimes a bit more solitary, because you can see that it has a very dense canopy, you know, in terms of the surface area that the tree covers. But coastal hammocks are essentially another important ecosystem, because most coastal hammocks can act as a nursery, especially for a lot of our birds and mammals, especially. You know, some birds that can inhabit these parts can include, but not limited to, the ovenbird, northern parula warblers, or red-bellied woodpeckers. That's just to name a couple. They like to use these cabbage palms as a means of protection. Now, usually as ground cover plants, you may find marlberry, American beautyberry, wild coffee. There's actually a video I did on that plant not too long ago. And among others. Like, for example, right in front of me, right here. This is something called a Spanish bayonet. Now, what's neat is this plant is actually a type of yucca, which means, great example of a yucca that we can think of are some that are grown in Costa Rica. Yucca are essentially, they're like another type of food that's produced underground, but they're not the same thing as potatoes, because I think as I recall, with yucca, they don't produce those eyes like potatoes do. But to me, like, yucca tastes just as good as potatoes. I mean, like, when I spent my time in Costa Rica, that was more of the staple. They didn't really have potatoes whatsoever. And Spanish bayonet is edible, indeed. But it serves as a great ground cover plant. And as you can see, they are a bit rhizomatic as well. as they practically appear in colonies. Now, you may be wondering, like, why they call it the bayonet. Well, as it turns out, if you look at the leaves, which in a sense have a very hardy texture, like it's very difficult to penetrate. It's kind of like a succulent. But the leaves, when you actually feel the tip, feels very sharp. I mean, like, you would not want to mess with this plant. And historically speaking, bayonets were those knives that were at the tip of a rifle. So, like, oftentimes during battle, if you couldn't shoot someone right away, because you figure they would always have to reload, and that would usually take some time. So if an enemy got very close, they would have to have another means of defense. So the bayonet was a means of basically stabbing someone if they got too close. Now, they call it Spanish bayonet because when the Spanish were here, when they were exploring this new land, they noticed that it resembled bayonets because that's what they used. So that's really how it gets its name. But yeah, that's a piece on the bayonet right there. Now, the thing is, coastal hammock, it isn't as ideal for, say, a gopher tortoise. And I say that for a couple of reasons. So basically, once you're in a coastal hammock, there's going to be a lot more established roots. So it makes it harder for, say, a gopher tortoise to really dig through the soil here. And usually, once you get into a coastal hammock, the soil becomes a lot richer. There's a lot more organic matter because all of these leaves eventually have to fall. But most of them are evergreen, so that means they automatically are replaced as one falls off. It's not like, Ohio, for example, where leaves will fall off for a long period of time before they regrow new ones. It's different here in Florida. So, yep, now we're approaching Sherman's Landing. I actually did a video at this spot about a month ago. So I don't really feel a need to make another one at the same spot right now. So alright, you guys. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you all learned something of value in terms of, like, why coastal hammocks really matter in the first place. They serve as an important need, especially for our wildlife here. And a lot of our plants that we use for medicinal reason come from coastal hammocks. So, alright, you guys. Enjoy your Sunday, and once again, Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.